honor to introduce my dear sister-in-law who flew into this memorial tonight from Brooklyn with her family, also known as child number 4. Please join me in welcome Rivka Sara Chein.
Should have turned around first. A few years ago, my father told me, Rick, when it's time for my shleishim, I want it to be huge. It's going to be long with many speeches. Tell people to bring snacks. I want them to come prepared. It was interesting to me, as my father never seemed to care too much about being honored. And when I recently repeated it to someone, they said the shleishim that your father requested was not for him, it was for you. I'm sorry, there's another page here. It's hard to believe we're actually here at my father's shleishim. As one of his angels and caretakers wrote to me after his passing, if my heart is heavy, I can only imagine yours. The first time I ever spoke in public was for my bas mitzvah, and frankly, I did not love it. My father wrote that speech and made me practice with him numerous times. He underlined words in red, wrote comments in bold, like pause, look up, and to be honest, he even wrote, take a big pause here for laughter. Oh, how I wish he could have helped me with this one. To everyone, our father was Schwartzie. To us, he was simply Ta, Yiddish for dad. We shared him with the world, and yet never felt resentful, as we knew we always came first. Maybe the exception was his older sister Olga, who called him, even at the age of 71, baby Bobby Precious Face. Hard to compete with that. We knew that sharing him never took away from us. According to the laws of nature, this makes no sense. It does not seem possible, but it is fact. 2 days before his passing on Yud Shvat, the day the 7th Rebbe became Rebbe, we learned the famous Hasidic discourse Basi Lagani. The discourse analyzes Jacob's description of his wealth and possessions. He said, I have kol, the Hebrew word for all. At first glance, this might seem boastful or at best an exaggeration. You might have a lot, but certainly you don't have all. However, upon closer examination, we see the beauty in his words. The term a lot highlights the fact that there are many. The term all turns the many into a single unit. Our forefather Jacob taught us to make from the many one, to focus on what unites us rather than what divides us. And that is true wealth. My father was a uniter of Jews, and by those standards, he is undeniably the wealthiest person I knew. He truly had kol, all. He wouldn't want me crying here, so I'm going to push through. Another difference, and I'm not going to look at the first row. Another difference between a lot and all is that the former implies a desire for more, whereas the latter implies you have all that you need. My father was a man of simple needs. After he passed away, us kids looked around and realized there was no physical thing that we wanted. He did not have things, except for thousands of holy books. They were not just for display. They were highlighted, underlined, many words were circled. These books were thoroughly used and studied. He was an extremely learned man. Things were irrelevant. At the age of 19, he was very clear that he wanted to do one thing, and one thing only, be a shliach of Lubavitcher Rebbe. In 1970, my parents moved out to LA, where they served as shluchim to UCLA, where he was the first campus rabbi. Later, he moved to singles, couples, and any Jew that moves. Hundreds of people met and married from the Friday night Shabbat meals that they spent in our family home, where my Ima, may she live and be well, prepared the Shabbat food and her famous whole wheat challah. His life's mission was for Jews to marry Jews, and this was one of his pioneering genius ways to help make that happen. My father was larger than life, and yet his favorite thing to do was sit in his chair with a Jewish book, his family around him, and say with wonder, it doesn't get better than this. Who needs a TV? This is the best show in town. He somehow gave us what we individually needed. The proof is that we all think we are his favorite. Ultimately, he gave us the gift of my sibs, whom I love dearly, and together with my Ima, we are a strong and incredibly tight family unit. I don't think I could survive this time without them. My father was king of one-liners, and I think at a time like this, he would probably pull out a favorite and say, God works in mysterious ways. He accepted God with his infinite wisdom and kindness. I will try to do the same. He especially adored his grandchildren, and they adored their papa. They are all missing him terribly. My daughter recently sent me an email exchange from a few years ago that she sent him in honor of her 15th birthday, where one has extra mazel on that day to give blessings. Let me preface this and let you know that my father always claimed he did not speak to his teenagers from ages 12 to 18. This, of course, is not true, although I am sure at times he wished it were. Of course, in his unique text-like writing style, the actual email exchange is far better, but this is what he wrote. Mazel tov, that is a great milestone. You are only 15 once in your life, even if it lasts a year. Try not to punish my daughter too much. We're talking teenage hormones, bouncing, ricocheting, reverberating through your system. It's nothing you're consciously doing or even aware of, but it could still make my daughter Rick nuts. I love you more than you will ever realize, and daven for you here in the Holy Land, in the holy city of Tzfas, for a shnas hatzlacha, successful year in everything. Who has a grandfather like that? No one. He was and will forever be one of a kind. He came for every simcha until he couldn't anymore. When my daughter got married this past summer, he was not able to make it, and my husband Mendel came up with the idea to do the last Shever Brachas in LA so he could be part of the simcha. My father kept on saying to me, that's brilliant. My father didn't see obstacles, he only saw solutions. A dear friend of my father's called every ICU in Los Angeles looking for him as he was determined to visit. When he walked into the room, he told my sister and I that he was a 14-year-old camper in the 60s who had polio as a child. And when it came time to play baseball, the counselor told him he could not play because of his leg. You can imagine how that went over. My father, a head staff member, turned to the counselor and said, it will be like the big leagues. We'll have a designated runner. And the discussion was over. He was not a complainer, and his life has not always been so simple. He did not wallow in self-pity and gave us each such a sense of connection to Hashem, self-identity, confidence, and joy. Even in the last 2 months, when he gave Torah classes at Farmer's Market, my father was so excited and said, it's amazing, I'm not done yet. I have so much more to give. Our oldest sister, Chanek, is blind and severely handicapped. Frankly, she's by far the most shining and outgoing personality in our family. 2 days before his passing, Chanek came to visit my father in the hospital. She sang Nigunim, Hasidic melodies, for 20 minutes straight with such pure joy and happiness you could physically touch it, as her voice reverberated in the room. I have no doubt that my blind and special older sister literally saw the godliness, or something that we cannot even imagine was taking place in that room. Something was going on that we regular folk can't physically see, and it brought peace to all of us who were honored to witness it. My father was generous, outrageous, colorful, wise. He had an amazing sense of humor, fiercely loyal, unconditionally loving, the most beautiful singing voice I have ever heard, lots of tough love, very in your face at times, and always authentic. I will especially miss his laughing fits, where he roared of laughter, tears streaming down his face. It was so contagious and literally left us breathless with joy. My father saw neshamas. He did not care how prestigious someone was or wasn't. He literally saw and engaged with the Pintele Yid, as he liked to call it, in every Jew. Certainly the proof of that was in the many different types of people that came through our home during the week of Shiva. I have no doubt that he is happily learning in heaven with the greats and peacefully buried in his favorite place in the world, Tzfas, next to the Ari HaKadosh, Rabbi Isaac Luria, the great Kabbalist whose emphasis on loving your fellow Jew as yourself is even inscribed in his tombstone. I believe this is one of the many reasons why my father spent the last 20 summers in Tzfas, the place he loved most, recharging for the year ahead. He used to say, do you know why they call a cemetery Beis HaChaim, the house of living? Because everyone there is alive. They are all tzaddikim. His legacy lives on in my Ima, us 12 children, many grandchildren, and an infinite number of spiritual grandchildren as he helped bring their parents and grandparents closer to Yiddishkeit. He left us with directive after my niece Trula Swirla passed away, and I quote, "Do something in response to your loss. Those left alive should pay attention and do something. Recharge your efforts and connect to Yiddishkeit. Please make sure to do a mitzvah in my father's honor, Shlomo Yitzchak ben Moshe, as nothing would make him happier. Tal, I and the rest of the world will miss you always." And on that note, I'd like to call up one of my sisters whom I adore, Hindel Swirla from Jerusalem.
I really had it together before she did her thing. So.